Hello, hello, I'm the official name writer. My job is to look through the first page of Google, review the nicknames provided by the internet, and then give my recommendations at the end. Today, we're looking at the mascot of the teal mask itself, Ogerpon. I don't know if I feel that I should go through and take a look at each form. I can, but I don't suspect there's going to be any differences. So, just a thing to keep in mind. Alright, so I kind of want to reluctantly highlight two of these, just because I think the idea of Ogerpon backwards being no prego is funny to me, because, I mean, there's the Italian bit, which I didn't know, but in my mind, it sounds like no prego is in, like, no pregnancy, but also alternatively, it could be no prego is in, like, they don't want the marinara sauce, prego sauce. So that's stupid and entertaining to me. And then Ponyo, I think, is the cry he makes in game. She makes in game. Ogerpon's canonically a girl. I think that's what she says in the same way as the Gia or Mk or whatever. So if that is what it is, then sure, that's an idea. Unlike most Animal Crossing characters, Tangy's not a bad name, actually. Most of them are like Beth or Alex or Jamal or Albert or some dumb shit like that, which is just normal people names. Tangy's not bad, actually. That's fine. I don't mind that as a nickname at all. Okay, so I did see Fiona earlier, and, I mean, that's just a name, so it doesn't mean shit to me. Shrek is literally the thing I expect to see a billion of, and I'm just gonna be that guy and say I don't like it. Don't get me wrong, I like the Shrek movies. I played the games, I watched them, they were fun to me. But I just feel like there's an oversaturation of meme with Shrek on the internet, and it's kind of made me hate it and resent anything about Shrek outside of watching the films. So if you want to do it, that's fine. I personally would not. I would rather swallow a gun. This is actually kind of fun because I remember talking in some episode about Majora, and I want to say it was Chaotic who suggested the idea that Ogerpon is now the first Pokemon associated with masks. But the fact that they chose Skull Kid is interesting to me, because for me, Skull Kid is what I perceive as Hisuian Decidui, because of the coloration and leaves. But alternatively, this makes perfect sense too. So Majora is what I would personally recommend for Ogerpon. I think that's a strong choice. But if you don't want to do that and instead you want to do Skull Kid, it does make sense with this context as well. Basil is a generic grass type nickname we see frequently. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, we see it more often as an abbreviation for Basilisk, which is fucking dumb brain mentality. Like, if you think basil is short for basilisk, you don't deserve to walk on this planet. But the idea of basil as a herb, as a seasoning, that's totally fine. As this Omori character, I never heard of it, I don't anime. Maybe that means something to you, but as a generic grass type nickname associated with herbs and seasonings, totally fine. Korok I'm actually okay with. That one I think works. That I feel like we've seen it in the past before, but it's a rare occasion. Like, I know we've seen Deku or Kokiri and stuff before, but Korok is something we don't see often enough, so that's a good idea to keep in your back pocket that you could use for probably quite a few different grass, maybe wood-based Pokemon. Like, my first thought's like Trevenant. Alternatively, Hestu is an idea. I like Empathy, because that works as a Binding of Isaac Bayonetta nickname, so again, that's something you could put on quite a few different Pokemon and it'll still just sound fine. As long as it's not like, I don't know, Sableye, which is very not empathetic, you could still put that on whoever and it's going to sound good. So there's a good one you could just use wherever you want. I don't know why, but Shrek 2 is more amusing to me than just Shrek. That's stupid, but I'm okay with it. And it's stupid in the same vein as like Gex in 3D for me, so I'm gonna let this one pass. Why is it 2? I don't know. Do I care? No. Alternatively, you could have all 4 forms of Ogerpon and name it like Shrek, Shrek 2, Shrek the Third. Now, what I usually do for insanely long threads like this one, because it has 250 comments, is I hit the see more button once, and then I go until I hit see more again, and that's it. So just know that there's still more comments, but I don't feel like reading all 250 of them. Odalwa I actually have written down, but I more than likely wrote it down because of this itself. I'm okay with this. We have more Majora's Mask references for you, and it also kind of makes sense in the idea of it being like, you know, all grassy and associated with a mask. Oh, could you do that? Almost, not quite, but you could do like the other masks for Majora, but I feel like it's gonna run out at some point because like the water version of Ogerpon could easily be Georg if you wanted to do that, and then rock could be Got, however you want to say it, but then fire being Twin Mold kind of doesn't fit. Personally, I have Odawa on my Surfetched because Sword Shield, and then it's like grassy, so that's what I personally do. I have Gjord on my Barrascuda, and then I don't have a place. I think Twin Mold's on my Scolipede, and then Got, I don't have a definitive home, but there's plenty of Goatish Pokemon I could put it on. I don't Final Fantasy. I don't know what a Yuffie is. To me, that doesn't sound like a name at all, but if this means something to you, I will acknowledge it because Final Fantasy VII is a very popular game. Tell me if you think it's any good. Toph, we've seen plenty of times in the past before, but I don't think this will fit. Not on Ogerpon. Again, I think the best example is always going to be Excadrill because Toph learned Earthbend from the Badger Moles, blah blah blah. It's just an idea for you. Alternatively, I guess if you wanted to, you could maybe thematic the masks into benders, but again, grass is kind of left out because you can easily do a waterbender, firebender, and earthbender, right? That could work for each form, but grass you're kind of shit out of luck on. Okay, so this is a very unique idea that I've never seen anywhere before. And I like the idea, but I don't know if I would put it on Ogerpon. But I'm also trying to think of what's something that comes in 5, and if I'm honest, I don't know. You could maybe argue something like how Gen 1 had 5 legendaries, for instance. You know, you got your birds, and then you got Mewtwo and Mew, or how you got the cats and Johto, plus Ho-Oh and Lugia. I mean, there's Celebi too. But I'm trying to think if there's anything like that, where you could maybe argue your way around it. Like the 2 mascot legendaries, and then the 3 supporting legendaries. So, I don't know, if you can find a whatever Cinquette, fucking, I don't know what it's called. If you could think of something like that where there's 5 and it could work, I say go for it. I think by picking Ogerpon, you're kind of limiting yourself, honestly, but it's whatever you want to do. So Pebbles, I'm going to reluctantly highlight, not because I think it's a great nickname, but because I was guilty of putting that on my Mandibuzz before switching over. So it's like, I get it for the Flintstones reference. I think Bam Bam could also work. And I have seen some people mention like Bonk or Whack or some shit like that because of the idea of the Ivy Cudgel attack. So I can understand that. They're fine nicknames. I don't know if I would personally recommend either for Ogerpon. Girl Boss is one that I'm kind of okay with. You could use that on just about any female Pokemon you wanted to. I want to say we saw it for Pheasantipity. Avocado, Guacamole, Salsa, Burrito, Guava, Sweet Chili, Ketchup, food-based nicknames are all fine. I mean, do what you will with it. The one that intrigues me is Felicia, Shrek and Fiona's daughter. I don't know if that's canon or if he's just fusing the names together, because they got a few kids, but I don't know. Green Giant, I like this one. Again, we do need more color-based nicknames. That's an entire like genre or style that you could use, and you could put it on whoever you want to that's green. That will work. Poison Ivy or just Ivy, we've seen plenty of the times in the past before. It's a fine name. It's not extravagant. You can do what you want with it. I don't know why. I mean, I feel like the Samus thing here is a bit of a stretch. If you're going to use Samus, I think Armor Rouge is a better place for it because that kind of fits the shooty suit kind of style look that Samus got. Maiden, also kind of reluctantly highlighting. I've mentioned Iron Maiden in the past before, based off the band, also based off the actual fucking torture device that was used. I personally use it for my Steelix, but you could put it on whatever steel types you want. I've also seen Kirin or Kiki a few times, which is actually next level trolling. Like and I know that there's Easter eggs in the game where if you send out Ogerpon to Kirin, he gets mad at you, which is great details, by the way. I don't care because in my mind it's not his signature thing. That's just kind of you being an asshole. Like that's the equivalent of like my mind goes to like naming the Lucario you get in Pokemon X and Y after your rival. That feels kind of like that level of trolling. So it's like in my opinion it's not associated and I don't think it fits, but if you want to do that, I guess you can. Oregano is another seasoning or spice you could use. We actually haven't seen that one before. And it's kind of funny because of the spelling, too, with Ogerpon. This is made in 2007, so Ogerpon's not even born yet. This is Game 8, so I know that's irrelevant. Pecharunt, this was something else that had nothing to do with Ogerpon. So, that had nothing interesting, and I like how this is all 3 pages of the same GameFAQs article. That's great. We looked at a lot. I'll take a look and see if the other masks yield any results, but I don't expect it to. I'll highlight this one because this is about Golden Sun, right? And kind of like I know we saw, what was it, a Zelda one before. So I don't Golden Sun, I don't know anything about it, but this does have Wellspring Mask in here. So if this feels like it fits to you, here's an idea for the Wellspring Mask. Also, I'm going to let this Control F be visible for you guys because I see Wellspring is right here visible for Neptune and then also Alex, which Alex is a bad choice. But down here is Hearthflame with Menardi. Don't know what the fuck that means. And there's another Hearthflame with Karst. Don't know what the fuck that means either. And then lastly, another Wellspring with Noel. So if any of this Ogerpon Golden Sun thing means anything to you, there's something for you to look at. Oh, I like that one. That's clever. Yeah, Aku Aku and alternatively Uka Uka. Those are good mask names that unfortunately, again, great ideas, but we don't have anything really like this at all, unfortunately. There's not enough Pokemon to take these great nicknames and put them somewhere. So you could do Aku Aku or Uka Uka somewhere, but I just don't feel like we have the right Pokemon to utilize them yet. If you want to, and you want to put it on Ogerpon, great choice, but that's pretty limited, and that's it. Termina, however you choose to say it, that's another idea you could do as far as Majora's Mask reference if you want to. To me, the Brazilian part of me is like, end. So I couldn't do it, but if it just doesn't mean anything to you, then there's an idea for you. We did talk about Moss recently, and I'm okay with that as a generic grass-type nickname. Maybe one day they'll make a Pokemon that I feel like it could fit, but for the moment, I'm going to say put it wherever the hell you want. Saria, however you choose to say it. To me, I say Saria because your girl's name is Sarah, not Sarah. That makes sense to me. But there's another Zelda reference for you if that one appeals to you in the same vein as Korok or whatever the hell. Now, this is another one, except this one is even more extensive with 450 comments, and I'm not reading through all of it. But it does look like this is the end of our Google journey. Alright, I lied. This is the last one. Alright, well, whatever this joke is, I don't understand, but everyone should use it, apparently. But that's that. Everything else, that Slowpoke Tail, Gen 8, 9, didn't exist back then. Game 8's never anything. A lot of stuff is not relevant. I hate that I've seen Pokegens on every single form that I've typed in Ogerpon in. That makes me mad. But we have looked through a bunch. There's a lot of Reddit threads, and I feel like as far as legendary Pokemon goes, Ogerpon is very popular and has a lot of ideas. Granted, not a very diverse pool of ideas. I can tell you without hesitation that Shrek Fiona is very common. I saw something like Giamoto or whatever, some Japanese shit a bunch that just doesn't sound distinguished or unique enough for me to highlight. Ponyo, a whole bunch. A lot of Majora, Skull Kid. So there's a lot of common things in there for you to take a look at. We'll go ahead and look over comment suggestions and see if we have anything else unique going on. Shy Guy that's a different one. See, that one's different. There's another mask character for you, and I support that one. I think that's a really good choice and could work. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, but Ogerpon girl, and that's fine. It's a female. But I'd also like to point out to you real quick, we don't know if there's other Shreks out there. For all we know, Shrek could be a gender-neutral name like Jamie. We can't assume. Why are you assuming the gender? Shy Guy, yes, Guy is male, but Guy is also a pretty unisex term. For all we know, there could be female Shy Guys. You could put Shy Gal, I suppose, but Shy Guy is fine on its own as well. Now right here, Gustavo is trying to highlight different elemental names based on it, which is fine. We didn't really see too much of this, but looking at it, first off, if you're going to do Grass Star, there's absolutely no reason you shouldn't be doing Rock Star as well. That just kind of fits. But I think looking at this, it makes me think a little bit of like, I was thinking about spells, like magic spells. If you're playing an RPG, right? There's probably some sort of, elemental spells, water, fire, earth, for instance. Grass may be a little bit less common, but if you can think of something like that from an RPG, I think that would work with this thematic a bit better. Mardi Gras, we saw that a bunch during the, Meowscarada episode, and it's fine and it's fair. Mardi Gras does have masks, yeah, and I feel like that actually kind of makes it make a little bit more sense, but alternatively, and this is where I was talking to him about it, was the idea of like, Paldea is weird, right? Because this is based off Japan. Like, Kitakami here is Japan. That's where they're going for that. And I'm not educated in Japanese culture or whatever festivities or festivals they got going on. I thought about the idea of Carnival for Brazil, or Mardi Gras as well. So I don't know. It depends on how thorough and anal you want to be about it for festivals. So just food for thought. Guy Fawkes also made sense. Alternatively, you could call it Anon or Anonymous if you wanted to do that as well. Kind of surprised he's the first one to suggest that, considering the internet. But yeah, we saw a lot of good choices, and I feel like at the end here, we can exemplify that there are some unique ideas beyond just calling it Shrek and Fiona or Ponyo or whatever the fuck over and over again. Like, Shy Guy's a really good choice. Guy Fawkes is not something particularly I like or support, but it makes sense and it's at least different. Aku Aku is different. So it's like there's more potential here to be discovered if you're willing to look. And again, we didn't even really discuss the idea of alternative forms being used as a thematic as well. So that's an entire other discussion you could lean into for this. Any other ideas and suggestions you have, feel free to put in the comments below. Give a thumbs up to the ones you think are good. If your name feels like it doesn't matter for the mask form, you don't gotta highlight it. But if you feel like it should be highlighted because it's like, well, obviously you're not going to use a fire-based name on the grass form, then maybe separate that depending on the mask as well. Again, I don't personally nickname legendaries, so I don't have a personal choice, but I do think we came across some good ones. Odalwa was worth highlighting just because I had it written down before. Majura would be probably what I would lean into. Aku Aku, Uka Uka, I like those. But another one that I thought was really good was Tangy from Animal Crossing. That was only mentioned like twice, but I really like that as a thematic. And I feel like you could take taste sensations and maybe use the other flavors like spicy or tart or something like that, and maybe, I don't know, there's like, what, 7 flavors, and that was kind of what my mind's thinking of, and I'm like, okay, well, Lickitung would be a good one, and my mind just keeps thinking about the umami sensation, just because, still to this day, I don't know what the fuck umami means. I don't know what food exemplifies umami, but I like the name enough, and I think that could work as a good nickname for Lickitung. So, that was a lot of rambling, that was a lot of Ogerpon. It's been 46 minutes.